Welcome to the Toy Rewind Podcast with your hosts, the Brothers Newland. Now, let's talk toys.
Hello, everybody. I am Monstrous Michael.
I'm John.
And there's no word that goes with Andrew. Just like John, there's no word that goes with John. Jeeper John? You could be like Jeeper John, but something like that. I don't know. Welcome to the Toy Rewind Podcast. This is episode 104. We've done a lot of these. We keep saying that. So I guess we're just hounding that into people at this point. Episode 104. We No. Sorry, it's been a long week. Welcome to the Toy Rewind Podcast. This is a little place where the three of us like to get together and talk about toy lines from our past. This week we're going a little past us, 4 or 5 years before Michael. So it's going to be a little fun. We're going to rewind back to 1974. For some screams as we talk about the world famous Super Monster line released by AHI. So this is going to be a fun one. We're still in that spooky season. It is the end of October, but we've got a couple extras of these that we're going to drop throughout the 1st of November also. So I look forward to this one. I like talking about monster lines with you guys. It's fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty
Monsters
cool.
are always fun.
Yeah.
Monsters are always fun. So before we can talk about those monster lines, these that AHI brought out, it's kind of funny. They're always kind of the same monsters, but hey, before we can do that, we gotta, John, you gotta do your thing.
All right. So social networks, check our websites over at toyrewindpodcast.com. You can also look us up at crossthestreamsmedia.com. And again, if you're on Cross the Streams Media, looking at our stuff down in the, I think it's the right-hand corner, right? That it's got the little microphone symbol. You can leave us a voicemail. Yeah, one side or the other. But there's a little microphone symbol. Leave us a voicemail, and we'll play it on here. You can email us at toyrewindpodcast@gmail.com. Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch is all Toy Rewind Pod. Facebook and YouTube, look us up by Toy Rewind Podcast. We do stream different things onto our YouTube channel, like Michael's been doing his Motor and Mondays. So check those out and everything as well. And then as you're listening to us, if you want to play along with a little bingo game, go to podcastbingo.com/Toy Rewind and play along. Let us know if you get a bingo.
And John, we're about to have to edit your little script that you have that has all that because YouTube is releasing out some new abilities to do quick links to your pages. Currently, our YouTube link is like something ridiculously crazy and long and whatnot. So they're releasing that, and I got one for my personal account the other day, an invite to go and update that. So I'm assuming. I was looking at it for Toy Rewind. They'll have an update soon. So hopefully pretty soon you'll be able to go to youtube.com/Toy Rewind or something like that, whatever it is. So we'll have to update your script. So if you are looking for us on YouTube, just search Toy Rewind Podcast. Look for our logo. It's right there. If you're watching the video, it's just right there. I'm touching it. And you weren't touching it, Michael.
I'm further away than you. I'm pointing to it. You're further away than I am. So you're closer to it than I am. Yeah.
You'll find those along with our.
Here, Michael.
There you go.
There you go. Now it's right there.
Along with our podcast, you get Michael's Motor and Mondays and a few of our lives that we do. Speaking of lives, I picked up some blind bags. Did you find any?
They didn't have any.
They didn't have any?
I tried, or I didn't try. Karen actually went and looked for me.
I got 2 of them. They are sci-fi and horror blind bags. I'm pretty sure these are like the same ones we did last year. Did we do them last year, or was it the year before?
It was a pop culture type thing, what we did last time.
I thought we did a horror one.
We did
too.
some of these too.
Did we do some horror ones?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember.
I think they look differently and stuff.
Yeah.
I will if John doesn't find one, if Michael and John don't find one in the next couple of days, I'll probably just do a quick. We'll open up, see what we've got. So
I'll go back by tomorrow and see what I can find. I'll let you know.
Yeah. All right. Let me know. Keep me updated. And then all right. Well, you guys ready to talk monsters?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and get into it.
All right. Let's rewind and get into it.
Okay. All right, this week we're going to talk about AHI, world famous super monsters, and so AHI stands for Azrak Hamway International Incorporated, which is named after Martin Azrak and Ezra Hamway, the two founders of the company. Back in the 1960s. They were a vinyl and inflatable pool toy company, and they ventured into other toys, more like rack toys, little cheap toys that you can find at maybe around the cash register area. Quick little buys here and there, small things, and then leading into the early 70s. So by 1973, they actually purchased the name to REMCO. I know we've talked about REMCO before. And then they started another vision for TV ad toys and were competing with Mego for licensing deals in the early 70s. So Mego had kind of gotten Planet of the Apes out from underneath Azrak Hamway, because I think they were shooting for it, but Mego ended up with it. That was in 1974. And then AHI they outbid Mego for the Universal Monsters license. So Universal wanted more money than what Mego was planning on could offer. And I'm sure because they used most of their money for some of these others. I know they've got, they started out with Planet of the Apes, and then moved into the superheroes stuff, the DC Marvel stuff. So they weren't planning on spending that much money for the Universal Monsters. So AHI ended up with it. They paid a little bit more than what Mego was planning. So the thing about AHI is they were pretty progressive back in the day, or aggressive. They were pretty aggressive on what they did. So they actually went out and copied a few things from some other companies to get their stuff going. So they actually copied what Mego was doing for their 8-inch line. So AHI had an 8-inch line for these monsters. The line, let me say it again. The line ran from 1974 to 1976, but you actually found these in stores all the way up to 1981. And that wasn't because of AHI. There was some other things going on. We'll get to that. But there were 5 monsters in the line, which consisted of Count Dracula, the Mummy, Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon, and Frankenstein. And it just said Frankenstein. It didn't say Frankenstein's monster. Like Andrew, I'm sure Andrew would want to say that. These are the same monsters that we talked about last Halloween, last October, and episode 58. And then we also talked about them episode 59 with REMCO, which was the early 80s, I think 81, and then Lincoln International actually did them as well in the 70s too. Azrak Hamway was actually the first one to do them out of these 3 companies. So, but not only did Azrak Hamway take the look and size of the line from Mego, they also took the head sculpts directly from the Aurora modeling kits from the 1960s. And you can still find these modeling kits. They actually sell some. In my diecast ventures, when you go to Auto World, their store, they have modeling kits as well. They kind of redo old model kits. They kind of fix them and get them to where they're brand new model kits that from old molds and stuff they had. So you can actually still find these through them as well. But but the box art and stuff as well as what they use that on the packaging, all the Aurora modeling kits, pictures and stuff that they had, the box art. So when it came to production and manufacturing this line, AHI used another company called Soma. And when AHI put in an order to Soma, Soma would use various different factories to produce the figures. This resulted in numerous variations. So every factory put out something different. They all didn't look exactly the same. Because if you use the same factory over and over and over, you're going to get all the same stuff. It's all going to look the same. So that's one thing about this line is there's so many different variations. It's hard to get all of them together.
Did they do that on purpose?
No, not. They did it to save money.
They contracted someone else, and they contracted. From what I thought, it was them having someone do it, and they contracted whoever they could make the most money off of.
Yeah, exactly. So
it just seems very interesting.
Did it? Yeah. So, it's they did so much. There's so many variations. It's very hard to find two of them that look exactly the same. I was watching a YouTube video of these, and they said you could go to the store and find the same figure with three or four different variations hanging on the pegs because they all came from different factories. So, some of the variations that they had consisted of colored bodies. They had hard or softer heads, coloration of faces. Some had painted hands, some didn't. Some had jointed wrists and some didn't. They were just a straight arm. The clothing was different from factory to factory. So that was some variations that was in on that. So even after the line was discontinued in 1976, some of the factories that produced these figures kept putting them out, and it resulted in even more variations. So as they used the mold more and more, it got it kept getting worse and worse, and by 1981 rolled around, it was they weren't as good. They looked cheaper than what they did when they first started out, almost 7-8 years before, so 9 years before.
Interesting.
Yeah, so from 74 to 81, you could just they got cheaper as they went. And like I said, AHI discontinued in 1976, so it had another 5-year run that AHI didn't even have their name on it. So,
wow.
These also.
So wait. Okay. So if AHI didn't have their name on it, I'm confused. Who's putting these out?
So the factories, they were getting orders for these from just independent, like drugstores and stuff like that. They would put an order in, these factories would say, "Hey, we have these toys that if you would be interested in, we can ship you some. You pay us, we'll ship them to you. We'll make them, ship them to you, really cheap." So that's how they kept getting going out, because these factories still had the molds for these, so they just kept producing the product. So
interesting.
So a couple more variations that popped up after that, because I'm sure they used different doll pieces and stuff when they were building them. There was a cupped hand variation. There was some that had shoes, and they had little bubbles on the bottom, looked like cleats. There was flesh-colored bodies. Like Frankenstein is green. They used a flesh-colored body for Frankenstein sometimes, so he wasn't green. And then some of the way the face was painted was different on some of these. So there was a lot of different variations throughout the years on these.
Oh wow!
Now,
that flesh tone Frankenstein's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's kind of weird looking. He's got like a greenish head, and the rest from his neck down's all.
Well, he's got like greenish like blush, green blush.
Yeah. So, another kind of different variation type thing is Dracula. Now, Dracula was actually packaged on his own card with no mention of the other monsters. That's because Universal wasn't really pushing Dracula because they couldn't use Universal monsters. Their likenesses look just like the actors. I know we spoke about this with the Remco thing as well last year, but they didn't have Bela Lugosi's. He wasn't. He was. The was it the family said they didn't have the right to make his likeness of him. So that was an ongoing litigation between Universal and the Bela Lugosi family. So and they actually Universal actually won that back in 1980 or in that 1981 because then Remco was able to make a Dracula that looked like Bela Lugosi. So
yeah. I just, if you're watching our video, you'll see I pulled up a video of this is the flesh tone or a photo. This is a flesh tone Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
This is quite interesting.
Yeah.
He looks like what I would look like if I was wearing a black blazer and had a Frankenstein mask on that wasn't completely painted. Like, because his skin is flesh, and like you can see where the mask cuts off, basically.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Something else I noticed with the clothing thing as they went on after AHI discontinued the line when the factories kept making them. The Wolfman actually had like a sweater on. Well, after AHI discontinued it, the factories were making it, but they didn't have the sweater on him. He was more like they all had like that black jacket, what you saw on that Frankenstein. So they weren't, all their clothing was different than what the AHI had originally wanted them to be on, to wear. So, but yeah. So going back to Dracula, like I said, they weren't really pushed. So Dracula was packaged on his own card with no mention of the other monsters. Dracula also was packaged in a window box and sold in the UK in the window box. So I don't know why they decided to sell them in the UK in window boxes. I guess it's maybe you can pretend the window box was his coffin or something and he's coming out. That's the only thing I can think of. So let's see, where was I at? Yeah, so the creature from the Black Lagoon is probably the toughest to acquire, and even more sought after because he's a popular character. But due to the fact that it did not show up in the first wave, they said, from what I understand, they wasn't quite ready to be released to release it in time with the first wave. So he wasn't out there at the very beginning. But then once he came out, and then by the time the AHI discontinued the line in 1976, the creature was completely done. The other factories didn't reproduce the creature like they did the other four, so he's not out there as much as the other four are. So, and I don't know why they decided they didn't want to produce him like they did the other four. I don't know. So, and see, there's actually two different variations of the creature from the Black Lagoon. There's a wide waist version of them and a skinny waist version of them. Some people call it the man, a man with the wide waist, and the thin waist was like a lady creature, but they were all the same creature. They were just shaped different. So
this one's the wide waist.
No, that's the thin waist on that one.
That's the thin waist, and then this one's the wide waist that's got the whole body going down.
Yeah, the wide waist, you can, if you're looking at it, he looks almost just like the Aurora modeling kit. So he was pretty well packed, pretty well made from that modeling kit. So, but yeah, the skinny waist.
He took a Barbie and painted it.
Yeah,
that's what I was kind of thinking.
Yeah, the skinny waist one is taller as well.
Those are some hips right there.
I know it's supposed to be like a 8-inch line, but the wider creature is just a little bit shorter than the thin creature. So, talking about the packaging, It was very similar to the Mego style figure cards like they had for the superheroes and the Planet of the Apes. These cards had a blister for the figure right in the middle of the card. And then on each side of the blister had a small picture of Frankenstein and Wolfman on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side had the creature from the Black Lagoon and the mummy on it. Like I said, it didn't have a picture of Dracula. They kept him separate from the other four. And then let's see. And then, like I said, the Dracula wasn't really offered with these four anyway. That's why he was different. So, and there wasn't a good one until Bela Lugosi, until they settled all that in court until 1981. So, so that's let's see. So now any card that was produced after AHI discontinued the line in 1976, the line did have a Dracula picture replacing the creature's picture. So after AHI discontinued the line, they didn't have their name on it anymore. When the other factories were actually still producing it, they just replaced the creature with Dracula. So they did put Dracula on there later. So that's how you could tell if you have a carded figure. That's how you could tell if it's an actual AHI or one that was after AHI. So that's
okay.
Biggest difference. So that's pretty much the history of these AHI monsters. So I mean they were. I mean there's more out there that are better produced, I guess you would say, but these were one of the first ones that weren't like I said, the model kits from the 60s to actually be action figures like that. So for the Universal monsters. But I think, even when you get to Remco kind of did it a little bit better. And then the Lincoln monsters were okay. But I think these were actually better than the Lincoln monsters, to tell you the truth. But the AHI are really sought after because they were one of the first ones that were out there for these Universal monsters. So
I think these are actually kind of cool. And just looking at Plaid Stallions, is there more to this? There's more figures here, right? We've got the 5, but there's more like types of figures.
Now, there are some bendable ones, some smaller bendable ones. We really didn't. I didn't get into that. Okay. But it's the same. It's the same characters. They're just in a bendy, smaller version that had little wires in them, and you can bend them around.
Right.
So,
and I found just this. It looks like an ad. Or something that has them, and I guess these are the bendies that are on the bottom, which made me notice it.
Yeah, that's on the bottom.
And just the fact that they were all in just like a box looks exactly like you would see it at a pharmacy or something. Just a bunch of cheap painted little plastic figures in this box that are probably half the paint's coming off because 13 million kids have had their hands all over them.
Yeah, right. There were some of those bendable. They were also in blister packs too. So
okay.
Just depending on where you probably found them.
Obviously, this packaging is done before we had COVID because you don't want that many people touching your stuff before you get hold of it. So, I just thought that was interesting. It just looks like there was more. And then one of these things that caught my eye, it's the flashers. I was kind of scared when I clicked on it, but they're just flashlights. I didn't know what I was going to get into. I didn't want Frankenstein to flash me, but you never know what you're going to get. These are kind of cool. I'm with you, Michael. I kind of like these because them being the originals or whatever, but and then also the fact that you can get them from if you can find the different ones from different factories. Nothing's going to be exactly the same. So you can have 3 or 4 creatures. They may not, none of them are going to look the same.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Wait. I think the box that ad you showed was the Jigglers.
Was it the
Some
Jigglers?
Yeah, it was the Jigglers.
What is a jiggler, John?
So they're, because I just clicked on them, but they're the same ones as the Bendies or the Bendums, as they call
But they
them.
jiggle?
But the Jigglers are like they jiggle. Instead of being solid, you can't really pose them. They just kind of jiggle. Whereas the Bendums actually you can pose because they have the wires in them.
Yeah.
So I just
Okay,
pulled that up, and the Jigglers has that same picture.
I have to show this. I love this one.
Yeah,
Creature's
so
my
these
favorite.
are the Jigglers.
Creature's my favorite.
So and then they also had, I guess, some little squirt guns.
Yeah, they had some squirt
Cool.
guns and stuff as well. And that goes back with AHI's little rack toy type productions that they did with that, and with the pool toys type thing that they had the background they had before they got into this licensing deals.
All right.
Yeah, these are really interesting. I like these. They're cool. I don't know. We've talked about the same monsters a few times now, but these definitely seem to be more. I don't know. I like these a little bit more.
Like I said a while ago, I like them better than the Lincoln International ones, and the Remco ones I think are better, but they're not the original like this. I mean, they weren't like the first ones put out like AHI did. Before this, I think the only really toys they had for the Universal Monsters were the Aurora modeling kits and stuff like that. I don't think there was any real figures and stuff until AHI got the license and did this. And what was, like I said, they were aggressive. They used ideas. They kind of stole ideas from Mego on the actual size, and the figure looks almost like a Mego figure, and the packaging looks almost exactly like a Mego packaging. And then they used the box art, the package art from them is the actual art from the Aurora modeling kits from the 60s. So they really didn't come up with their own. And that all that except for the vampire, except for Dracula, are the actual. They look just like the actual actors from the movies. So
you can just to get a close up look, a very fuzzy close up look of these, but you can see there's the pictures of the different monsters around. Like there's Wolfman and the Mummy, and the different pictures around them. Also, I was trying to see. I can't get there's no price on this. Also, this is a crazy looking creature. There's no price. Did you happen to see any prices?
I did. Actually.
Yeah, if you go, there's on Plaid Stallion. That's where I got a lot of my information from. All this information is from Plaid Stallion. So that guy there, he's got a lot. I mean, he's got a lot of information. He's got a magazine that they put out that had. I don't know if he still continues to put that magazine out, but I know his first issue was over these AHI figures. So he's got a whole issue just of these monsters, Universal monsters from AHI.
Oh, that's cool. By the way,
pricing,
this episode is. Hold on, John.
I was going to say pricing went from anywhere from $2 to 90 cents, I think.
$2.90 or 90 cents to $2.
I was about to say, I think you went backwards there, John. Because I was expecting to say $2 to like $5.
No,
$2 to 90 cents. Okay. I do want to throw this in there. I know we get a lot of information from Plaid Stallions because they have a lot of information there. But this is not brought to you by Plaid Stallions, but still go check out their stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, plaidstallions.com. If you want to sponsor us, you can. I don't know who you are, but you can. Just toyrewindpodcast@gmail.com. We will answer your email. We got to get a magazine, Michael.
That's a lot of work, dude.
So no, not for us. Like one of theirs.
Oh, we got to get one of theirs.
A Plaid Stallion magazine.
A Plaid Stallion. I don't want to put out a magazine. I can't do that. We still
Just
had
like, we're doing enough work.
we still had the same 2 articles up on our website since we started that whole article thing. So we can't do a magazine.
I think you did both of those, Andrew.
I did. I have more I have to write. I just haven't had a chance to do it. It's been crazy.
Yeah.
I like that there's more to this than just the creatures. Like the wind-ups, the bendums, the jigglers. I love that name. Squirt guns, fright flashers. So I think that's cool that they like. There's just more here. Things that you would expect to see at a pharmacy.
Yeah.
Especially a small town independent pharmacy, more than just like a CVS or a Walgreens.
Yeah, that's about all we, around here. I mean, that's all you see now is Walgreens or CVS. You don't see, independent stuff. They were every town had one back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, even the 80s. Before all these other pharmacies started popping up. So you would actually get, and then you go, not just the dollar stores, but you would get, everybody would go like Woolworth and those stores like that. Which you don't have those stores anymore either. Those are all pretty well gone. In lieu of the, now you have all your dollar stores. You got your Family Dollar Tree, your Dollar Generals, stuff like that. So
I know this. It seems like this is going to be a shorter episode. We do have a few more things we need to get to, but and this being the same monsters we talked about last year, technically, you've got. Like you said, it's pretty much the exact same, right? Because it's the same molds. It's the same.
It's the universal monsters, which are the same, pretty much the same 5 is what what there is. I think the Invisible Man might be in with those as well, but I don't know how you would make a figure that doesn't look like a mummy, So
Well, we do need to rank these and put them on our list. We have a list of 3 at the moment because this is only episode 104. That's how, I don't know if you guys know, that's how things work. And so we do need to put this on our ranking. Are we all going to be the same again?
I
think we are. I think we are. So Michael, let's start with you.
Yours? I'm going to put this at number 3.
Okay. John?
I was going to go 2.
You were going to go 2. I was going to go 3, and I thought we were all going to go 3. So
it just depends on where you. And I like Action Jackson a little bit more than these guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think these are the fun monsters. I like these, but I think the Action Jackson is just a little more fun to me to kind of see what's going on there. So we've got a 3, 2, 3. We're finally going to be different. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about, but it's finally we have a little bit different. Now, here is the question that I have for you, gentlemen. Did Larry have it?
Oh,
Let's find out and see.
Let's see. Larry, what do you think? Oh, hold on. I got to tell him. Larry, are you there? Larry, can you hear me? Larry?
Hey, it's Larry from the STS guys. What's going on, everybody? World famous super monsters. Okay, so I remember having a Frankenstein figure. I'm like, oh, maybe it was a AHI world famous super monsters figure. But no, it was not. I have no idea what it was from. So no, I did not have one of these. I'm going to say it looks like these are from a little bit before my time.
You would be right, Larry. A little bit before your time. You like my new graphic?
I like that.
I felt like we needed Larry on the screen. So when you're listening to this, Larry, we put a graphic that put your face on the screen. Sorry, I stole one of your pictures from Twitter. Didn't even ask. I just kind of did it. But I figured it would be good instead of us just sitting here looking at each other like, if we had Larry on the screen, at least people would know something's going on. So so no from Larry. I kind of didn't think he was going to have one of these either.
No.
I surprised to hear that he had a Frankenstein, like that there was something.
Yeah, it could have been one of the Remco ones from the early 80s.
Could have been a Remco. The question now, Larry, is do you still have it? And can you find it to see if you do happen to have it? Let's see if we can figure out what it is. So maybe we'll hear back from him. What else? Like I said, this could be a short one because we've talked about these so much, and AHI kind of had a short history there with them. So Lots of good stuff.
And if you
Check
want
out your grocery or your
if you want
pharmacies.
more of these Universal monsters, go back and listen to our episode 58 and 59, where we did last Halloween, where we did a Remco and International, Lincoln International. Yeah.
Couple good episodes there. So,
Yeah.
with that, I'm trying to find my notes. I'm a little disorganized today. I feel like, we do want to say we are a member of the Cross Streams Media network of podcasts. There's quite a few of the podcasts there, growing every day. The network is just kind of blowing up. We had some messages back from the Movie Gap, and they are talking. We are kind of trying to figure out this big Thanksgiving release movie that came out with a toy line that we'll talk about. And as soon as we find it, we will have a crossover episode with them. And I think technically we're saying we will cross the streams. So that'll be fun. Too bad that's not a Ghostbusters thing. And we can cross the streams there. But we're happy to be a part of the network. Go check it out, crossstreamsmedia.com. So much content there, you won't even know what to do with it. While you're there, click on our little icon, like John mentioned earlier. Go to our little page that we've got on there and click on the microphone at the bottom right-hand corner, so that you can leave us a voicemail. That's how Larry gets us his voicemail, so that we know whether he had the toys that we're talking about or not. It's been fun to have him on. We also played a few weeks ago, and so if you want to hear your voice right here, you can send that in. Let us know what you want us to hear, what do you want us to talk about. What toy lines did you have growing up that we haven't talked about that you'd like to get more information, or just listen to a podcast about. So I think that's it.
Is that it?
It has been a long week. Sorry. My brain's in like 12 different places. AHI Monsters, it is spooky season. This one will drop before Halloween, so that's at least nice. But we have another one coming up that we're going to talk about some more spooky stuff that we were trying to get in before Halloween, but it's all good. Spooky season can go as long as it needs to, as long as it ends, before Thanksgiving. But it can come back in January. I don't care. January through October, fine with me. Spooky season. Anything you guys want to add?
No, I think we're done with Universal Monsters.
The
world famous super monsters from AHI.
Yeah. We probably won't have any more of these monsters. I don't think they made any different ones. So I think we're done with these.
Is this the last line of these?
Yeah, I think this is. So you can be excited about that. But we got to talk about it because we're going to talk about all of them. So then everybody, hope you have a happy Halloween and fun spooky season. So on behalf of the Brothers Newland here at the Toy Rewind podcast, play on.
You've been listening to the Toy Rewind podcast. Follow and join in the conversations at toyrewindpodcast.com.
Oh, he jumped quick.
He did.
He's like, I'm out.
All right, let's go to the other one. See you there.